I brought the story that I did just to show y'all also kind of what I do. I do a lot of loop and doom, unfortunately, because I work on the 10 o'clock news here in Houston. I'm at the ABC station, Channel 13. But every once in a while, when I find something that I really want to do, I can do something lighter. And this was it. So I'm just going to play the story and then we'll go from there. Well, what's missing, I guess, probably in that piece also is just how hard it is too, but definitely there's a lot of payoff. But we showed the beauty of it, right? Because there's a lot of beauty to it, but a lot of the stuff behind the scenes is pain that we have to push away. I'm going to start here. So this is a picture that I drew when I was 5 years old, and I apologize. I took a picture of the drawing and to get it to show you all. And it says at the bottom, I want to be a news reporter. And that, of course, was when I grew up. And playing sports, all kinds of sports, has really helped me do that. Whether it was golf on the public course near where I lived in Florida during elementary school, or just playing football with my brothers and friends on that same course in the evenings when the golfers had all come home. Being part of the team and competitive has helped me through those hard times, and has made me appreciate triumphs even more. When you play sports with good coaches at the helm, you learn to win and lose graciously, continue to chase a goal. Today I'm a runner. In fact, I ran a 5K race yesterday and had a personal record, pretty good for a 41-year-old mother of 3. But unfortunately, the competition yesterday was pretty stiff, and I placed only 3rd in my age group. Something I'm kind of weird about. Most people would say 3rd, well, that's pretty good. But if you're competitive, like I assume you guys all are, you say 3rd, I want to be 1st. And it's something my husband gives me a hard time about. I always want to win, or maybe it's just I like the idea of competition. When the results are in on these weekend races, I analyze the times and the splits, and I try to visualize who the women were who beat me. Were they in my same age group? Were they 28? Were they 35? Were they 41 too? And I try to go back and see where I could have shaved a few more seconds off and really review my race for the couple days that follow. And it's the way that I stay competitive now in my old age. Some might call me obsessive. My husband calls me obsessive. But I just call it competitive, and I'm not ashamed of it. When I reflect on, I know that journalism, and more specifically local TV reporting, is a perfect career for me, whether that drawing was prophetic or not. And what I do now, it is all about competition. And I can say that I wouldn't be successful if it weren't for sports, and for me that pinnacle was rowing. I ran track and played volleyball in high school, and I was above average in those sports, but not great. No colleges came pounding on my door offering me athletic scholarships, and I was okay with that because I knew when I got to school at Boston University I would find something for me. I grew up in Arlington, west of Dallas, home of Jerry World and the Dallas Cowboys now. I decided to go away to college, like I said, to Boston University. I didn't know anyone there, no one, when I stepped off the plane. When I got the letter informing me who my first college roommate was, I wasn't sure if it was a guy or a girl. I grew up in a pretty homogenous world in Arlington, and I hadn't been around a lot of hoodas. Well, we got along famously, and I still keep in touch with her. She taught me a lot, but I'd like to think that I taught her something too. One day I was walking on campus, and I noticed a flyer, open tryouts for the BU women's crew team. I didn't really know what crew was. Of course, I'd never done it before. They didn't have it in Arlington, and if it was in the state of Texas, which I'm sure it was, I didn't know about it. But what they were really looking for was athletes. You had to do a lot of timed exercises and run a certain distance in a certain amount of time. When you passed the physical test and you could swim, you were in. Wow, I thought, well, this is perfect. It's just for me. I just had to be strong and fast, and they would teach me the skills later. Sure enough, I made the cut, and I started teaching those of us with no experience those skills. And I remember that first day on the boat, that was pretty scary. Even just putting it in, that was really scary. I started with the novice team and Coach Susan, and if any of you all have any experience on the East Coast, she had her strong Boston accent, and she would yell at me through the megaphone, "Jessica, you're hanging at the catch! Jessica, you're feathering too slow! Jessica, hands away!" Always adding kind of that R at the end. Somehow I got through her, and by my sophomore year I was in the second varsity boat, and then the first somehow. And I was even stroke and had a lot of responsibility at that position. So here I was, no chance as a senior in high school to be on a NCAA Division I varsity team, and within a year I was. And keep in mind, there were some rowers that still left over from the varsity 8 that won the national championship for BU just a few years earlier. It was pretty incredible. Of course, I got up at 4:30 in the morning, would ride my bike in snow to the boathouse, wore tons of layers to try to keep warm, shed them as we were working out, did the water work in the morning, and then back at the boathouse in the afternoons for weights of the earth. It was pretty miserable many days, but I wouldn't trade it for the world. It kept me sharp, gave me goals, and kept my life revolving around competition. And today, my job is all about competition. We compete against 5 other stations, a newspaper, sometimes a blog or 2, social media, Twitter, Facebook, online media. We're all racing who can get the news the fastest, but hopefully the most accurate. Probably had experience with that. Who can get the big get, the elusive interview, that exclusive piece of information. It's all about competition, and rowing, sports more generally, has instilled that drive in me. As I did on the water, would keep my coxswain, would use unsavory words to light a fire. On land daily, I want to smoke my competitors. Sometimes I use unsavory words. So it's been a few years since I've been in an 8, but running is now my outlet. I can set goals, compete, and more importantly, show my daughters the strength in mind and body that it takes to be involved in sports. I look at both of them, and they are very young, just 5 years old and a toddler. I have a son too, but I kind of say, well, that's my husband's responsibility. Not really. He was in that race with me yesterday. He just ran the 1 mile. But I wonder who the athlete among them will be. And if it's neither of my daughters, I can deal with that. But then I will know that I will need to try to find them or help them find some other outlet for them to kind of get involved in competition. Because I think the world is all about competition, whether we like that or not. I like that running keeps me healthy, but I also like that decades of participating in sports has given me the tools for success in the workplace. Think about it. Where else can you learn teamwork, strength, and competition in one compact location? So to simplify it, to play it off the theme of this, why wouldn't you want to row like a girl? And now I just want to, this is very short and sweet. I know you said 20 minutes, but keep it short and sweet. Anybody can ask questions. I'm just going to show some photos from when I wrote. Rowing in a race. I mean, I think from in that moment, I think the fondest memory is really pushing through the pain and realizing at the end, whether it was a sprint or a head race, that I did it. And I thought I was going to die in the middle of it, but somehow, because you can't stop, right? You can't stop. You can stop and you run. You can pull over and you can tie your shoe, pretend like you needed to tie your shoe, but what you really need is to catch your breath. You can't do that when you're rowing. So, when you finish that, across the finish line, I think it's just that I did it. Okay. Thank you.
There's a question over here.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I was just kind of wondering if you feel like, how do you feel like
opportunities in your professional life?
I mean, I think that perhaps being in the central part of the country or more southwest, it didn't necessarily help me when I graduated college as far as networking and that sort of thing. If I had stayed, I wanted to come back to Texas, Oklahoma, where my family is. If I had stayed, I think in like growing centers, absolutely. I mean, there's a great networking group and it means something and people take care of their own, just like anyone. I do think though that, I mean, you know, I'm proud to say it. I think it makes me and unique in that sense that I used to row. People kind of say, wow, what's rowing sometimes. Today I think it's very different because I feel like rowing has exploded. I was just telling Randy before I started speaking that Oklahoma City, I worked there for a few years, about 15 years ago. It was their rowing community was non-existent. It's really kind of exploded. So I think that's, and I think in Texas too. I think now, graduating now, absolutely, it would help me as far as networking and finding positions and I also think that it helps me on deadlines. I know that I have this amount of time to get this work done. It's the same thing, right? You guys get up in the morning to go work out, and now I have to rush over here and rush over there and do this too. It's all, balance of time, and that helps. It translates to managing your time, whether it's rowing or any other sports, because being a college athlete was very demanding.